Hello everyone, my name is Wesley. It's so wonderful to be virtually meeting you all. I am with Flowers for Dreams. I'm one of our producers, but I'll be leading you through this DIY session. I'm so excited. So we can start by introducing some of our product that you're going to be receiving. For our greenery, we have lovely gunny eucalyptus for you, which is one of my personal favorites to use. As far as our stems, we have linears, we have our wonderful dark blue delphinium for you. We have a lovely 4th of July themed palette for you. Thankfully, summer means brighter focals for you, which is super exciting. As far as our focals, we have the lovely mums, white mums for you. We have these gorgeous roses, freedom roses, which is perfectly fitting for the palette. And then for fillers, we have thistle for you. So we're gonna jump right into it then. We'll start by cutting our greenery. So with this mix of greenery, I'm gonna do a handheld technique. So I'm gonna start by trimming the eucalyptus to about this length. Start and then create a fist. I'm gonna keep this pretty consistent because that's gonna create the hold for our greenery. Similar to the past, you're essentially creating a gridlock for all of your floral to go into. So I'm gonna continue on. The gunny stem can be a little bit wild, but don't be intimidated. Gonna trim here, gonna keep going with that. Here we go. And you definitely don't have to be afraid of mixing in those thicker stems as well, because that's gonna give you a really solid base for your arrangement once you start going in and adding floral. So no worries there. I'm gonna keep trimming away. And if you notice, I'm kind of creating, the gunny eucalyptus is gonna drape a little bit, so I'm kind of creating almost like a handheld bouquet and draping off the sides. So feel free to mimic that as well. Keep going, let me see, we've got a little bit more here. Just continue filling this in. Hopefully everybody has some gorgeous 4th of July plans. Hopefully you'll have some company over to see your gorgeous work. I'm sure we have plenty of experts out there. So continue feeding that through. Notice this is getting a little bit more lush. This is gonna help you out when you start adding that floral. We have a little bit more to add. I'm gonna keep this a little longer. And feed this through. And one more stem. And this is where I've arrived. So obviously it's gonna look a little different depending on how you trim your stems. Don't worry about that. This vessel especially, this is one of our jars, is gonna be pretty helpful for you. So you're gonna feed that through. I always do a test, kind of see if it has a strong hold. I think I'm gonna go a little bit shorter with some of these stems. Give a little trim. There you go. I do kind of like to have a little bit of drape on the side. I think that that's kind of cute. But depending on if you want a more composed arrangement, you can always trim some of these stems down. It's totally up to your interpretation. I might do that for a couple of these, just so the arrangement isn't too wild and we have a little bit of composure, so you can kind of go through that process. And here we go. So this is our grained vase. You can kind of see that we have a strong foundation there. And I always like to go through, depending on the type of floral, so we can start with our linears then. We have this gorgeous delphinium, belladonna dark blue, perfect shade of blue for the holiday. I'm gonna trim it to about there. You want it to be about double the size of your vase for your linears, so this is what we're gonna start with. Remember, you can always go shorter. I'm gonna feed that through, have that sit to about there. Gorgeous. And remember that these are sort of framing your arrangements. So you're gonna wanna put those on the outside. I'm gonna feed that through here. Really stunning, especially as your arrangement builds. These are gonna drape out and just be a really lovely frame. Like I said, we can move on then to the focals. These are your larger floral. That's gonna fill out the arrangement. Now you do want these to be sitting a little bit higher, especially your roses. You're gonna stick with that double the size of the vase just to make sure that your gorgeous roses are being seen. You can give these a light little pull, just open them up a little bit. Of course, being gentle, but that'll just help them stick out. We're gonna go to that size. I'm gonna go a little shorter. Here we go. Keep going along, and then of course, stripping your roses. Just be careful of any thorns. These look pretty safe for you, but always just good to check out. Go. And then the final rose, you should have 3 of those. Give it a little trim. And like I said, you see that these are sitting a little bit higher in the vase than the rest of our focals are gonna be. And there we go. So we have our roses, and then we have the lovely delphinium on the outside. We're gonna then move on to our chrysanthemums, our white chrysanthemums. We're gonna give them a strip. Be a little bit careful because these are very sensitive. Give it a trim. Now just to create dimension, I'm gonna cut these a little bit shorter than the roses. See, I'm kind of putting that a little bit lower to create some dimension in the arrangement. Give it a trim, and at this point you're gonna kind of wanna get a full look at your whole arrangement here. Make sure you're kind of filling in all of those gaps as you move through. Go, trim this down a little bit. Stunning. And then we can kind of do a 360, figure out where you want that final mum to sit. Give it a little bit of a trim. And then there you go. Perfect. So we have moved on to our final stem then, the lovely thistle, again leaning into that blue. Give this a trim now. With this arrangement, I have a lot going up here, so I am gonna trim these a little bit shorter. Depending on where you have holes, that's what the length that you're gonna cut it. That's kind of where we're gonna lie. So for me, that's a little bit shorter, but again, up to your interpretation. Like I said, I'm sure there's experts out there. You can kind of use your best design since this is more of a filler stem. See, so I'm gonna slide that there, fill that hole, and then let me kind of take a look, see where we need a little something. I think that I'm gonna fill this hole right here. So I'm gonna end up cutting these pretty short then because they're more of a filler stem. If you see over here, I have a little bit of a hole. So that's why I'm cutting it short. If you have a hole a little bit higher in your arrangement, you can kind of cut that stem depending, but that's the great thing about filler. They just kind of fill in space in your arrangement. These are really voluminous, so it's gonna end up looking really great. So I'm just gonna put this stem right there, if you see that, and there we go. That's the final stem then, so we'll do a full 360 then. This is where we've kind of ended up. We have some different elements up here, a good balance, some dimension in our arrangement, and then of course you can always kind of do a little trimming if your greens are a little long, anything you want to edit there, but that's where I've arrived, a really fun, festive arrangement. Thank you so much for taking the time to spend this time with me. I'm so excited, like I said, to virtually meet you all, and hopefully we'll be seeing you at another DIY session. Thank you so much.